All right, I'm Joanna with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching. Another success story, this time with their 2-year-old daughter. 2-year-olds are hard, right, you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very opinionated.
Yes, yes. So tell me what life looked like before you guys called me.
We fought like every day because
Nobody's sleeping. Everybody's miserable.
and we just didn't have energy to do things because she was waking up 2 or 3 times a night, and she's way too old to have to be doing that. So
Yeah.
we knew, and we just couldn't do it anymore on our own.
I mean, we started out taking away her pacifier because a dentist told us that it was causing some issues with her teeth, and that spiraled into her basically co-sleeping with us for like 3 months. And during all of that time, she would get up all night long and kick both of us each night. And we were trying to be supportive and trying to comfort her, but we knew that something had to change, right? Something had to get better here.
Yeah. And then you had also mentioned too that bedtime was really hard, right? That she was not going to sleep until like 9 p.m. and that like bedtime was just super chaotic. And I think you even said, Dad, that like that was the most stressful part of your day.
Yeah. It was a dreaded process, and it was like, who picks the short straw today to put Diana to sleep? And we would just we had to alternate because it was so onerous a process that it was like a chore for one person to do it 2 days in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you had to tag team for sanity's purposes, but the whole thing took forever, finally asleep at 9, only to be again woken at like 11, where she needed to co-sleep with you guys the rest of the night and needed to be like either switching all around the bed, or I think Dad said that sometimes she was like wrapped around him.
Yeah. Koala bear on my arm as I slept.
Yeah. And so it was kind of like, hey, that wasn't that comfortable either. So it was hard. And so what made you guys decide to ask for support? Like you guys, she's 2, you guys are both like, mom's a physician and Dad's a big professional. Like you guys were like, okay, I'm a doctor, I could figure this out. Like what made you decide to say no?
We just didn't know what to do. We didn't know what was appropriate for her age. And we had tried some simple things and they weren't working. And I think
she wasn't staying in her crib, which started all too, right? She would climb out, and that fear
climbing out of the crib. Yep.
Is what sort of got us to do the co-sleeping. And I think you were talking to a coworker, right? And they had recommended they use Joanna.
Yeah.
And so it got into a point where we had just had enough, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's hire some help because everything we have tried is just not working.
Yeah, so, you guys really had the conundrum. You had the pacifier needed to be taken away, and she started crib climbing, and that is a wicked combination.
Yeah.
So now, so once we got started working together, what did you like most about the process of having that customized support in our work together with her?
I appreciated that your tactics were evidence-based. I felt that there was so much support, like real time. I could text you and you'd respond to me within 10 minutes. So I always felt like I didn't have to have all the answers.
Right.
That you could help me, you could diagnose her issue appropriately. And if I didn't know what to do, it was okay. I didn't have to have the answers because Joanna would know them, and you would follow up with me the next day or even real time that night as I was struggling. And we really, the fact that we could pivot quickly because you knew what was going on, I think it made the process smoother and quicker. And I don't think I would have stuck through with it if I didn't have that kind of support, because I would have just been pulling out my hair. What do I do next?
Right. Second guessing yourself. Or what also happens between, spouses is kind of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden you're each kind of like throwing stuff at the problem and then actually making it worse. But the fact that we had really worked very hard with your particular situation to make sure that everyone was on the same page. So mom and dad were on the same page. The nanny was on the same page. You know, the older brother knew what was going on. Like we made it so that it was like a household thing. Like we were making changes that was going to benefit the entire household. So it didn't feel like your 2-year-old felt kind of put upon, you know, that we're like doing this thing to her. Like we made sure that everybody was together on this and we were all moving in the same direction, which really ended up being a huge benefit because now for you guys at bedtime, like even with the older sibling, like it used to be the whole household was still awake until 9:30. But now what's it like for 2 kids? Like what does life look like now?
We probably got at least 2 to 3 hours back of
Every
our
single
lives
night.
every night. And they all sleep through the night.
Mhm.
So there's none of this every 2-hour wake up. We can hang out with each other again,
Mhm.
have adult conversations, have adult like watch movies that don't include cartoons.
I know, right? Exactly. Exactly. Having like children like lying across you while while the cartoon is going, because that's the easiest way to get them to go to sleep. And I think dad told me that you guys, you know, again, you guys, it's summertime, so the weather's been gorgeous where you live on the West Coast. And you said that like now you have like people over. Tell me about that. That was
So
really
on the weekend, we can have like a barbecue that can run into 8, 9, 10 p.m. And in the middle of it, we can have one of us just stop and take one, because we do separate the kids out at the exact same time. So we can have somebody go and do a quick bath and books and bed, and they are out and we're back at the socializing event in like 30 minutes. And the kids never get up. You don't hear them crying. You don't hear them screaming.
It's effortless.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was always dreaded how much time it would take, 2-3 hours, and how much struggling and
the screaming.
crying
Remember
and
the screaming?
screaming.
Oh, our daughter has a very high pitched voice. It's very loud screaming.
yeah, lot of tantrums and stuff that is now like no longer. Well, I just love that visual of you guys like having a really good time with friends and being in the backyard and everyone's having a great time. It's like one of you guys just disappears, just quietly does what you need to do, and then you're back with a glass of wine before anyone even noticed you were gone. And I just think that is like the best visual ever.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And so tell me what else is possible now that was not possible before? You know, either that's what you're doing personally, professionally, how you guys are spending time together, like what you have planning ahead, like what is possible now because all the kids are sleeping and napping well. We should also say hands-free naps with a 2-year-old. Like she's like, I'm going down for a nap. I'll see you in an hour and a half, like super easy.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is that it doesn't have to be us. It's easy enough that we could write it down for a babysitter and have somebody else do, where they're not going to power struggle with that person. We know that they'll get with a program, they'll follow it, and we could go on a date night. Or
get out, or God, we haven't tried it yet, but maybe have a weekend on our own where we have a babysitter come for a long weekend, or a grandparent, you know?
Because it was just too difficult before to even consider putting that.
Oh, it would just fail, right? There's no way that we could tell somebody that you have to do this ridiculous nighttime routine.
Terrible thing.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're daring to dream of something that literally was impossible before. Yeah, it is so easy now that literally we could have our nanny stay overnight and it would be as simple as if I was in the house as well. And that's dare to dream. Like talk about dare to dream. It's so amazing.
We can't stress enough how much the lack of stress bedtime has brought to our lives, because nighttime is supposed to be your calm down period, and instead it was like the most stressful part of every day before. And getting that freedom the mental burden that you would have before has been lifted, which is,
our jobs are stressful enough. We don't need that additional burden when we're home. So
true.
And we have it back, which is the point here.
I know. That's one of my taglines. I love to say you get your life back. Like you didn't even realize you had lost it, and then you get it back and you're like, oh my God, this is like incredible. So if you met a sleep deprived, overwhelmed parent and you're like, hey, call Joanna, like, what do you want them to know about why it's a good idea, or why they shouldn't hesitate, or why they might be afraid to ask for help? What do you want them to know?
I want them to know that they're going to have amazing support, even into the late hours, that they don't have to know all the answers, that that it can be really tailored to their child, that because there's so many things on the internet that you can find, and you don't know if this method or that method is right for your child. Joanna knows all the different methods, and she knows the different ways that the children can react to it, and she's there for you. So there's no stress like, is this going to work out or is it not? She can quickly help you pivot it to depending on how the child reacts to whatever plan you guys have set out. It doesn't have to be the end all be all. It can it can be modifiable all along the way. So
yeah, totally modified and customized based on the child's temperament and the pace that's right for the family, and all of that. Dad, do you have anything that you want to tell some dad there that's like, I don't know, what, a sleep coach? I don't know. That seems kind of weird. Like, what do you want?
I mean, I would say swallow your pride. How much is your night worth to you? How much is getting that back worth to you? To me, it was worth a lot. And I cannot believe we waited so long, to be totally honest. We should have.
We wish we would have done this for our now 5-year-old. Because now we're trying to have to reverse train him of all the bad habits we as new parents formed. But
yeah, you won't even realize how gradually it affects you over the course of time, and then you get it all back at once, and man, it is quite the change in life. So yeah, takes a village, and Joanna is your village. Yeah. So
I think I would have given up if I didn't have her support. Do I use first or second person? If we didn't have your support, I think I would have given up. So thank you for everything.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I love that idea that I'm part of your village. That makes me so happy. Yeah, I don't think parenting is something you should do alone. And when it comes to being sleep deprived and trying to parent on your own without additional support and empathy about how hard it is, that's why I do what I do, because I never want parents to have to parent in this complex world when they're also sleep deprived. I want them to be well rested. I want their family, their children to be well rested, and the parents to be well rested, so that you can have a more harmonious household. So thank you so much for trusting me and for trusting the process, and taking the time to share your experience today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wait.